Well, good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. I am back. Lovely to see all the faces here that we usually see. Heather, Karen, Sarah, May, Teresa, Jenny, Kaz, June, Nicola, Sarah. I can't remember who Sunset Bay 56 is. But hello to you, because I know you've been here before and I can't remember who you are. I beg your pardon. Sheila, Jill, waiting to see if the other Jill was here. I can't see her. But Jill, who's had her operation, I do hope that you are well this morning. Morning, Nicola, Rio, Pat. Carol Jones, of course, of course. Hi, Rosemary, as well. Right, okay, so it seems that we are on at the same time as John, but I was here first, so but you can catch up on either of us. So if you miss one and you prefer to go on to the other one, don't worry about it. It will be there. So hold on a second. Let's turn that light off as it's glaring back. I've got something a bit different for you today. I'm delighted to say that I'm now going to be stocking some of the Sweet Poppy range. So some of you might be familiar with it. It's stencils, and they are metal stencils. And I've got a couple of workshops, did one yesterday with the beautiful Christmas bauble, which I'm sure everyone has seen, even if you haven't got it. I will be having some later on in the week. But for today, I'm just going to show you a bit of a different thing, really. So I've got quite a few new things to show you. So I'm going to do a bit of mixed media with the media plate. I'm going to be using the Craft Artist Autumn colours, just for a bit different. I'm going to use some of the black glossy stencil dimensions paste and this beautiful stamp stencil, which is called Black Orchid, which I think is really gorgeous. I've got some new coloured card from Crafts 2. Oh, the world is endless for us today. So thank you very much for staying with me and coming to have a look. Okay, so let's have a go. So I'm going to pop these to one side first and foremost, and we are going to get out the media plate. Now, I'm very lucky because I decided to treat myself to a second stamping platform. As you can see, it looks a bit mucky. But the reason why I wanted to do that is because I do like to use the media plate quite a lot. However, I do find that it's a bit of a messy hobby, this one. And so rather than mess up countless platforms and having to keep changing them and trying to store the plate and all this sort of palaver, I treated myself to a second stamping platform, of which I adhere the large media plate, so that's an A5 size media plate, to it at all times. It stays there, doesn't get cleaned, doesn't get washed off. I use one of the clear templates to protect, and also it sticks on there as well, so it sort of keeps it a bit tacky as well, which I find is quite handy. And so that's I use it like that. That's how I prefer to use it. So I just want to make a quick background, really, and I'm going to use, as I said, the Craft Artist Pigment Petal inks, and I'm going to just simply put a few different colours onto my media plate. So you can use any any blendable inks. Pigment inks really I find are the best for movement, and these are handy because you can pick them up easily. So I'm going to just sort of squelch that down into about the top third of my plate. Oh, I hope this isn't wiggling too much. So there we go. Hold on, I'm just... No picture, Catherine. I'm here. I'm here. I didn't disappear. Oh, although I did notice, and I do thank Fiona for pointing it out, that I bizarrely seem to have had about 4 notifications last night my internet decided it didn't want to play ball, and it kept telling me that I hadn't put on that we were live here today. And so in the end, it ended up that you were told that I was live here about 4 or 5 times. So I'm glad you found me at one stage or other. So I'm just putting a bit of red into the middle, and then I'm going to go for the dark green. Okay, and I'm just going to put that on the bottom bit here. Then I'm going to take my brayer, and I'm just going to mix those up a little bit, but not massively. Whoops. You can see my brayer. I had a bit of an accident with the brayer, hence why it's a little bit colourful, shall we say. So I'm just going to blend those colours in together a little bit. So I'm just moving them about on the surface. So I've got my greeny coloured, like so, like that. Then I'm going to take my John Next Door Floral Fantasy stencil, and I'm going to pop that right over the top. I'm just going to squash it down a little bit. Then I'm going to take my red colour again, and I'm just going to squash through some of these flowers, not all of them, because I want to take another colour as well. So I'm going to just use the colours that I've already used, and I'm just going through the stencil just to give us another bit of a colour. So I'm going through with the yellow, and I shall go down the bottom here with the yellow. And then I'm going to take the green. And if you do sort of mix the colours a little bit, one more squidge of the ink onto the paper, it goes. So I won't worry about it too much. So I'm just trying to do all of the pattern with a little bit of ink on there as well. Okay, so I shall pop that lid back on because we do not need that one anymore. So then I'm going to get myself a piece of ordinary white card, nothing special, just ordinary white card. I'm going to pop that into the centre there. And I'm just going to, just needs to go over a bit. Just going to press that down onto here. So it's just, I'm making a background. So when you're doing the media plate, it isn't making, shall we say, something perfect. It's making a background. It's just picking it up. So all of those gorgeous papers that used to be available so much, they don't seem to be available. And so it's, well, you can get them, but oh. Now we're going to, someone at the door. We're going to ignore the door. And I'm just going to pop that back down again, just to take up. Did you hear the doorbell go? Staff's gone. Staff's got the day off again. So there we are. So beautiful, picks up some of the pattern, picks up some of the different colours that we're using, and you can just go on making all these different patterns. And I think they look particularly good with what I want to do today, which is that black flower. Okay, so I'm going to pop my protective sheet back on, just so that I don't want to get any of that muck there. Muck? I shouldn't admit that that's muck. Now, it does need to dry off a little bit. So otherwise, we will get in a mess. So I'm going to bring over one that I did earlier today, and I'll do that one later. So here's one I did a little bit earlier. Same sort of thing, nothing more spectacular than that. Now we want to put this gorgeous paste on here. This is just divine. I do not know why I did not do this technique before in the past. Why have I never done it like this? So now what I've done is I've taken a magnetic sheet. It's one of the adhesive ones. So it's got A4 adhesive sheet of magnet on the back. And I've just popped it onto one of my, what's it called? Self-healing mat, because I don't use the self-healing mat very much, and I can still use it on the other side, but it's ideal that I can use it here as well. And it will hold my stencil into place quite beautifully. So I'm going to pop my stencil down in the center, because this is metal, and so obviously we are going to be able to pop that down like that. So it's held it in place beautifully. Then I'm going to take some of my tape. Just going to check that that was all inside there, and I'm just going to mask this off, and I'm keen to also mask off the actual part of the card here, because I don't want to get excuse me, I don't want to get any of my black paste onto there. So I have put the tape all over, so it keeps it in place, and because it's a magnetic sheet, it holds down this actual stencil. So I'm going to take my paste, and with my ordinary spatula, which is what I would use most of the time when I was doing anything with a spatula, I'm going to just pop that into some places. So I'm just going to pop that there, and a little bit there, a little bit there, and a little bit there, like that. Okay. Now my paste, this paste is really, really thick compared to other pastes and mediums that I have used. And whether that's why the deciding factor is so, the deciding factor, whether the finished article is so good because of it, I'm not quite sure, but there you go. So I blobbed it in. I'm going to take my spreader, which is one of the Sweet Poppy Stencil spreader, and I'm just going to, keep it at an angle of approximately 45 degrees-ish. And I'm just going to bring that down. You can see that I've got some left there. Looks a bit mucky, doesn't it? And I suppose it is. But you just wait. Oh, love it. So I'm just going to make sure that that's now, that's better. So, I need to open that up again. Just pop in some of the waste back into my pot. Not an awful lot of waste, to be honest with you, which is pretty good. So just one more sweep. There we are. So I'm going to put that into water and just use that later. I'm going to carefully now take my stencil, my tapes off, and just try and hold that into place whilst we're doing it, because obviously the medium is quite wet at this stage. Doesn't take very long to dry, and I'm just going to grab hold of a corner. Oh, and just remove that. Look. Oh, I love it. Love it. Pop that into the water as well. So as I said, this will take about, well, depends on how warm it is really, but it will take probably an hour to dry, and I would leave it a little bit longer. It's a very thin layer, but rather than put the whole thing on with just your palette knife, which is what I would have done in the past, you can get such a good even straight layer by using the stencil spreader, as they call it. I'll just take it off of here, otherwise that will come off of there in a second as well. So then we will finish it off. So I'm going to, again, pop this to one side because I've already, I've got to wait for that to dry. Let's just finish off with this one. So here's one that I finished earlier. It just needs trimming down. As I said, it's about an A5, but it can be any size you like, obviously. 1 second. Just going to trim this down. So I'm just going to trim it down so it's the same width of the actual stencil, which, as I said, is approximately A5, and just trim that line there. And then what I've done is I've taken the press cut nesting rectangles, the plain ones, and I've made myself a frame. Now, I've already done it because you've seen me do the frames before, but I just wanted to, how should we say, explain how I wanted to make the frame. I wanted to make my black in the centre linked up in some way or another, because it's a very stark thing like that. But I think you might agree that when you put that on top, the black suddenly it's popped through again. Okay, just going to read some of your comments here first of all. Yeah, thank you. It is really pretty, isn't it? So yes, I do find that the plastic stencils, I love working with any of them, in all honesty, but for this type of thing, to be able to get this solid medium like that, it just works really well. And as I said, black is stark like that. It's sort of, oh God, what are you going to do with that? But you pop that frame on there and you have got a beautiful card. Now I've also got new colours in this, so I'm just going to bring in, and I don't think they're on there a second, so I will put them on. Not sure how you if you can see them very well at all. So this is the neutrals pack. So this is a new pack of 10 sheets each of the linen card from Crafts 2. We've got black, we've got white, we've got cappuccino, and we've got the new champagne. And I have used on here champagne and black. So the champagne, being the new colour, is more like a sort of, well, if you had the foundations card from Creative Expressions a few years ago now, they had one called Blush, and I would say that that is the closest to it. So it's it's not a pink, it's not a cream, it's a creamy pink. But there you go. So that's the neutrals pack, and I will put them up in just a second. 10 sheets of each there. So with my card here, I'm just going to finish that one off. So I think that I will, I will double make my card in a second, I think. Double make, I know what I mean. I'll actually make my card out of that. Well, shall we do that? Yeah, we shall. It's a good job I talk to myself, isn't it? So I'm going to show you how to make a card that is slightly bigger than normal. So we've got this, and that's 16 centimeters wide, and the outer line is 21. So as you can see, if I was to put that on there, that's just a fraction too big, which is fine. So in order to make a card that is a little bit bigger, so 16 by 21. So I'm going to have one piece that is 16 and a half. No, let's do 17. 17 wide by 22. So I've added a centimetre to each side. So that one is 16 by 22. Okay, that's one piece. And then I'm going to take another piece, and And I'm going to do that one. So that was 17. So I'm going to do this one as 19 by 22 as well. And then I'm going to take that out. Goes the door again. Take that out, and I'm going to score this one at 2 centimetres or 17, whichever, because I just want an extra bit to make myself into that card. Okay, so I'm going to take my bone scorer. I'm just going to fold that bit over. And that is going to be my card like that. Now, I can do either way. I can either have my seam on the back on the outside so that it does show, or I can have the seam on the inside like this, and then, which is what I probably will do, I would have the seam on the inside like that, and then I'll put myself another piece of card that will act as a sort of what should we say? Put my sentiments and bits and pieces like that on it. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue down there. And because I want that on the inside, but you can have it on the outside. It's just me being fussy. I don't like to see the join. And so I'll just pop that there. And then when I put my piece of card on it later, it will, I'll put a piece of cream on the inside there and no one will see that it was there. So I will then pop my frame onto there like that. So I'm just going to stick this down. I will use some double-sided tape. And the reason why I'm using the double-sided tape to stick this down and not the glue is because I've used the stencils, both stencils with the medium and also with the inks. It makes the paper just a fraction, depends on what your paper is. And as I said, this was just plain ordinary paper. It makes it just a little bit warped, and it actually goes on there really nicely. So I'm just going to pop that into position, and then I've already, it stays nice and flat then, I've already put some black foam pads, tape, whatever, on the back. So some of you have managed to catch both, I think. John is showing his new, or has been showing his new products that are coming out tomorrow at 6 o'clock on Ho Chanda, and I will have them at 6 o'clock as well, with the beautiful new Haddon and Oundle and something else. Can't remember what the other one was called. Oh, I'm going to take the foam off as well. So there are some lovely, different, very different designs there. So just going to position my head over the top of it so I can see if it's fairly straight. I reckon it is. Just pop that down. So even though we've got a card, because I wanted to make it big and whatever, we haven't got a card that is actually the right size as such, although you can buy 10 by 7s anyway. But I just wanted it to be the same colour. So I've used the champagne to make the card itself. I have got the seam there, but as I said, if I just pop another Mataran layer inside, it won't even notice anyway. And I could have put a sentiment on, whatever, but I think that more or less says it all anyway, doesn't it? So there you go. Beautiful stencils, loads of different ones available. I have got about a dozen different ones. I have got the Christmas bauble coming up, but not just at the moment, because I've got some fantastic workshops with lots of ladies in tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. And also next Saturday on the 17th of October in the afternoon, I've got some more people joining me for then. So Those are the crafty online workshops, so a bit different to what we've done here today. So lots of different things to show you today, lots of different techniques, some of which you probably might not have been familiar with yourself and might not even want to ever have a go at yourself and think what an awful mess she's made. But I actually think it's rather lovely. So I will be back, as we said, normal service has resumed, and I will be back on Wednesday morning for you at 11 o'clock. Probably looking at some of the new designs that we've had tomorrow, I should think, because there's some beautiful things and we shall have a go at making some of those. And I will be back on Friday with Fancy Fold Friday or Fancy Friday, whatever we call it, and back next Saturday. Now you're never going to get rid of me again, are you? Just when you thought it was safe. Have a great rest of the Sunday. See, I don't even know, do I? I came back from holiday on a Friday thinking it was a Monday. There really is no hope for me. I did have a wonderful workshop with my ladies, my real ladies, yesterday, and I hope and think some of them are here with me today. So thank you very much for joining me there. It's still a scary time out there, and so I really appreciate when people do actually come and join me when they feel that they can, and we had a great time. So have a good Sunday. If there's any of the products that you've seen today that you'd like to have a go with yourself, pop over to the website. They are on the Facebook Live site, and you will also find them over on the news collection of the Sweet Poppy Stencils. And there will be new products coming up very, very soon with the Sweet Poppy. So it is a range that I intend to start carrying now. So do watch out for the new ones as they come along. So take care, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Cheerio.